It was the winter of 1990, and Germany was supposed to be celebrating. The wall had fallen. The Iron Curtain was tearing apart at the seams. And after 45 years of division, two halves of a broken nation were finally reaching toward each other. The cameras were rolling. The speeches were being written. The world was watching what many called the greatest political miracle of the modern age. But inside a series of unmarked buildings in East Berlin, men were working through the night, not to celebrate, but to destroy. The Stasi, East Germany's feared secret police, had spent decades building the most sophisticated surveillance apparatus in human history. At its peak, it employed one officer for every 63 citizens. It had infiltrated churches, universities, families, and bedrooms. It had files on nearly 6 million people. And now, as the regime crumbled around them, its officers were feeding those files, page by page, box by box, into shredding machines. What they were destroying wasn't just paper. It was evidence. It was leverage. It was the truth about who had been watching whom for 40 years. But someone else was moving faster. What the public didn't know, what wouldn't surface for years, was that West Germany's Foreign Intelligence Service, the BND, had launched a covert operation to intercept as many of those documents as possible before they disappeared forever. Agents moved quietly through the chaos of reunification, acquiring files through channels that have never been fully explained. Some were purchased, some were smuggled, some simply changed hands in the fog of a collapsing state. And what those files revealed was something the architects of reunification were absolutely not prepared for. The names inside weren't just East German citizens. They were West German politicians, journalists, lawyers, and businessmen, people who had been secretly feeding information to the Stasi for years. Informants embedded at the highest levels of the society that was now meant to absorb and lead the new Germany. The question was no longer just what the Stasi had done. The question was what would happen if those names became public. What would it do to the fragile political consensus holding reunification together? What would it do to the institutions, the alliances, the careers of people now sitting in positions of power? Someone made a decision about how much of the truth the German people would be allowed to see. And that decision, made in the shadows, in the first trembling days of a reunited nation, cast a long, quiet shadow over everything that followed. Some of those files remain classified to this day. Some of those names were never spoken publicly. And some of the people inside them went on to help build the very country that was supposed to leave the past behind. The wall came down. But not everything buried beneath it ever truly saw the light.